Welcome back, class. So far we have learned about the basic operation of op-amp, then we have learned about the AC analysis, then we go for the stable network design, oscillator design. Okay, so now we are starting a new chapter, new topic, which is actually power amplifiers. Okay, so basically in real time what is happening, we have to design the amplifiers with the different power requirements, that we have different kind of loads, and to satisfy the demands of different kind of loads. For example, a load has a power requirement of 10 watt, 100 watt, or 1 kilowatt. Okay, so we have to design the different kind of special amplifiers, which is called actually power amplifiers. So we classify them based on the different power requirements. Okay, the efficiency, power efficiency. Okay, so we classify them based on that. So in this chapter we are going to learn about this. So basically inside of the power amplifier, what is actually happening, we make our amplifier from the BJTs, right? And we know that basically in BJT the collector current is beta times of IB, right? So collector current is depending on the current gain, and the current gain is basically depending on temperature. Okay, so as the temperature increases, okay, for example temperature is increasing, so beta will be changing. Okay, and we will have the different current. Okay, so for example temperature is increasing, beta is increasing. Okay, and constantly your current IC will be increasing, so your output voltage, okay, it could also be increasing, okay, for the high current values, for example. Now what will happen when we'll have high currents, okay, eventually your device, your IC, your transistor, it will start heating up. Okay, and when it starts heating up, there could be one condition, that device could be damaged. Okay, for example, if sometimes if we are using the ICs in electronics labs, okay, so you might have observed that if you are using that IC for a longer time, it start heating up. So if you touch with your hand, you can feel the heating. So that is basically the loss, dissipation, dissipated power. So when we design the power amplifier, so we actually have to meet the high powers. So for high powers, we might have to use the high current values. Okay, so for that case, we have to prevent the device from damaging, and to prevent that we use heat sinks. Okay, so these are basically the example of heat sinks. You have an IC, this is a heat sink. So heat sink is basically a device which will absorb the power, which will consume the most of the dissipating power. So less power will be dissipated, less power will be consumed by the actual IC. More power will be consumed, dissipated by the heat sink. So it will prevent the device from the damaging. That is the advantage of the heat sink. So the first topic which we are going to learn in this chapter is about the heat sink, and then we will move to the different kind of power amplifiers. So as I told you earlier, so this is a typical IC. Okay, this is for example a BJT. Okay, it has 3-pin collector base emitter, and this is a heat sink. This is the one example. This is another kind of the heat sink. So usually when we like have MOSFET BJT ICs, so typically you will find the heat sink on top, like in this structure, in this structure. Sometimes we have like in this structure, and sometimes even we have in this structure. Like if we have a bigger device, bigger circuit, so we have a bigger heat sink for that. For example, this is the circuit, so this is the heat sink for that. Okay. So the operation of the heat sink, the design of the heat sink basically depend on different parameters. The first one is the thermal resistance. So the thermal resistance is basically tells us about the device or material properties, that how much it will resist the heat flow. Okay, that how much power heat flow will be resisted by that material, particular material. Okay, so basically every device is designed for an ambient temperature or device temperature. For example, a device is designed for 100 degrees centigrade. So that is the ambient temperature or device temperature of that particular device, or we call them T1. So eventually when the device start heating up, so temperature could increase or decrease, so that temperature will be T2. So the dissipated power by the device is basically depend on the difference of temperature and divided by the thermal resistance. That is basically the dissipated power by a particular device. Okay, temperature difference divided by the thermal resistance of the device. Okay, and in actual particular case, okay, we have multiple thermal resistances. Okay, for example, this is a heat sink, this is my BJT with different pins. Okay, so there will be a thermal resistance between the device, okay, actual device and its case, okay, which we call this device case thermal resistance. Okay, then we have a thermal resistance between the case and the sink. Okay, so this is the, like inside of this is the case and this is your heat sink. Okay, and inside of this we have actual device. Okay, so there is a thermal resistance between device and case, there is a thermal resistance between case and heat sink. Okay, and there is a thermal resistance between sink and the ambient, okay, device properties. Okay, that is called sink ambient. Okay, so power dissipation is basically rate of change of temperature divided by the sum of these all thermal resistances. Okay, so this is referred like this one. Okay, difference of temperature between device actual temperature minus the ambient temperature. Okay, divided by the all thermal resistances. Okay, so that will tell us about the actual dissipation by the device. And for example, if you don't have heat sink, so we can actually discard this component. So that will be the dissipated power without the heat sink. So these are basically the design criteria for the heat sink. Okay, we will see the relevant example in the live session. And when we actually design power amplifiers, there are different features, there are different design criteria. Okay, so typically we design the power amplifiers for the different requirements. For example, we have a stereo loudspeakers. Okay, we need the power amplifiers for that, broadcasting antenna, electric motor. So these are just some examples of applications. So when we design power amplifiers, so basically it depends on what is instantaneous and average power dissipation from the transistor, what is the average load power, what is the basically output power, and the average consumed power from the supply, what is the basically supply power, and the ratio of these two, output power or load power over supplied power, this is basically called efficiency of the transistor. So we classify them based on this efficiency. Okay, for example, class A amplifier, it has different efficiency, class B amplifier has different efficiency, and like that. Okay, impedance matching and power rating of the transistor. So these are the different design parameters, features of the amplifier design. Now let's have a look at the first kind of amplifier, which is class A amplifier. So class A amplifier is basically an amplifier in which we get the 100% output signal for the input. Okay, for example, if this is my input, I am getting this is an amplifier. Let's say the amplifier gain is 3. So if this is 1 volt minus 1 volt, so here I will get 3 volt and minus 3 volt. Okay, after amplification. Okay, and but what is happening in class A? So if you are supplying complete input, we are getting complete output signal. Okay, there is no trunking. Okay, for example, I am not getting an output signal like this, only negative half cycle, or I am not getting output only positive half cycle, or I am not getting an output with the truncated like this one. Okay, I am getting the complete signal. So this is called basically 360 degree output signal, or conduction angle is 360 degree. Okay, so this is basically the class A amplifier. Okay, now let's have a look at some derivations of this. So typically this is a typical class A amplifier, a BJT class A amplifier. So if you guys remember, if we want to write IC here, it will be VCC minus VCE divided by RL, right? Or if I want to write VCE, collector emitter voltage, it will be VCC plus IC into RL, right? So these are the some basic formulas here. And if you want to draw the DC load line, so we have VCC here, we have IC here. Okay, and to get the point where we will get maximum value of the current, so that will be the point when VCE is 0. At that time we will have the maximum current, and that will be VCC over RL. So basically that is this point, that we have maximum current, collector current. Okay, and the other condition could be when we are having minimum current. Okay, so minimum current will be the case when these two are same. Okay, basically VCC is same as VCE, so this will be cancelled out and we will have 0 here. Okay, so the condition when VCE is basically VCC, so that is basically this point. Okay, so this is basically called DC analysis, DC load analysis. So if you join these 2 points, this will be our DC load line. Okay, so that is the first step which you guys have to do. Okay, determine the DC load line. After that, we have to find the Q points, okay, operating point of the amplifier. And for the class A amplifier, the condition is we choose the Q point. So Q point is basically 2 VCEQ and ICQ. So the condition is that VCEQ will be half of the VCC over 2, and also ICQ will be half of the maximum IC. Okay, these are the basic condition for class A amplifier. So this point will be VC over Q, that will be VCC over 2. For example, if VCC is 10 volt, so this point will be 5. If IC maximum is, for example, 1 ampere, so this will be 0.5. So that is my Q point for this case. Okay. Now what will happen? Why we choose this Q point? Okay, like that, half of VCC. Why? Because, for example, now let's say if we have an input AC signal, which is like this one. Okay, and it is being amplified. So if we are operating this amplifier around this Q point, okay, so after amplification, for example, we will get this output signal. Okay, so for this input signal, we will get a complete output signal here. Okay, for this case. But if we change the Q point, our this output signal could be truncated, could be distorted. So that is the reason for this case. Okay. And typically this is one example. Typically we place a load speaker at load point, okay, like this here. Okay, so this is the class A amplifier. Now basically what is happening here, we get 2 currents here. Okay, one will be the DC current and one will be the AC current after supplying this. So actual collector current will be that DC current plus the AC current. Okay, let's say the AC current is IP sine of omega t. Okay, so it will become IP sine of omega t here. Okay, and similarly the output voltage, okay, for example if you write VCE, so that will be 1 from the DC analysis plus minus the drop here, okay, due to the AC one. So that will be basically our IC and VCE equations. And if you want to calculate instantaneous power, so it will be just the product of these two. Okay, VCE times ICE. Okay, and remember our condition. Okay, that basically a Q point is VCC over 2. Okay, remember this condition. So this is basically the way to calculate the instantaneous power of this class A amplifier. Okay, so let's have a look at more details. Okay, now if we as I said earlier, okay, instantaneous power is what? IC times the VCE. And what is IC? DC plus AC, right? And VCE what? DC minus AC. Okay, and here if we assume that IP is basically ICQ, okay, like this value, okay, this maximum value is, if we assume that this is ICQ, and if we assume that basically VP value is half of VCC. Okay, so if you plug in these numbers here, okay, so eventually if we simplify, we will get this expression. Okay, so that is basically the instantaneous power. Now if you want to calculate the average dissipated power, so average dissipated power is basically the integral of the instantaneous power. Okay, integral of the instantaneous power. So this is my instantaneous power. Now if I integrate this, okay, from 0 to t with 1 over t, so that is my answer. So average dissipated power by class A amplifier is how much? Is this much. So it means the output power, if I plot here, okay, so this is the maximum power which I can get, okay, because it's a function of sine and cosine, so it will be just changing like that. Okay, so this is the maximum power, okay, around the Q point, which we can get VCC times ICQ over 4. Okay, and now if you want to calculate the efficiency, so efficiency is the load power divided by the source power. Okay, and the load power here basically it will be equal to half of Vp times Ip. Okay, or like if we call about RMS, so Ip over radical 2, Vp over radical 2. Okay, so if we just multiply them, Vp into Ip divided by 2. Okay, so this is the load power, and we know that Ip, we assume that this is basically ICQ, and Vp we assume that is VCC over 2. Okay, so we get the maximum power is IQ times VCC over 4. So if you guys just come here, ICQ times VCC over 2, this is the maximum instantaneous power. Okay, and the maximum load power will be ICQ times VCC over 4. Okay, and the source power will be VCC times IC. Okay, the source. Okay, and what is the IC? ICQ plus the AC current. Okay, and if you integrate, finally we get this one, VCC times ICQ. Okay, so the main formulas from this derivation is that the maximum load power is half of Vp times Ip, and the maximum source power is VCC times IQ. And if we divide them, okay, like this is VCC ICQ divided by 4 divided by the source power VCC ICQ. So this will be cancelled out and I have 1/4 here. So this is basically the maximum efficiency of class A amplifier, which we can get from the class A amplifiers. So the maximum efficiency of the class A amplifier is basically 25%. We will see more details about this and relevant example in the live session. Thank you very much for your time.